Peace to the tribe, peace to the collective. And this was something that was on my mind. And this is what Saturn and Witchcraft. Saturn and Witchcraft was a concept that I wanted to kind of talk to y'all about. So, Saturn is a Roman word for a Greek word that means time. Now, for many of us, well, including me, man, like me for sure, like you could tell me Saturn means time and it'll go in one ear out the other. One ear out the other. Chronos means time, one ear out the other. I get it. Saturn means time, but what are we deducing? What is the reason for us saying that, and how can I apply that in my everyday normal life? What is time? Time is relative. It could take me I could be at a job for 8 hours, or I could be getting head for 8 hours, and the time that I spent doing both activities is completely different. But time is also a measure. Time is also knowledge. So like, if I spent a lot of time doing something, I would know more about it dependent on the time that I spent there doing whatever. I was watching a movie last night called The Witch. By far my favorite movie ever of all time. That's the thumbnail for this video, The Witch. And in that movie, a family from Europe comes to America. This is in the 15th century. They come and settle a place, an environment. And these people so arrogantly set up a plantation on top of where people were already living. And the reality of this is that they never asked the people who was already there, hey, what are y'all customs? Or hey, what do you call this place? Or hey, how do y'all get down? Or what's the name of this place that I'm actually at? These people said, you know what this place is called? This place is called New England. Arrogance, ignorance, tomfoolery, for which you are in the practice of arrogance, ignorance, and tomfoolery if you say, well, I'm from Indiana, I'm from Ohio, I'm from Detroit, I'm from Chicago, I'm from California. No, the fuck you ain't. Them is made up, facetious ass places. See, when we talk about time, you got to talk about people who have been on this land for, it's people who have existed in the 1500s, believe it or not, and they exist today in that same form because they understand the immortal spirit. See, when you practice in the European gnosis and knowledge and verbiage and understanding, you also deal with the repercussions of said following that particular energy where, you live and you die. See, the European, you don't go into the European school and they tell you about the spiritual worlds, the mycelium networks, the cosmological understandings. When you go into these European schools, you are being taught the physical and material dimension, because when you're in these particular societies, they haven't been on the earth as long as we have. Are y'all following me so far? Maybe not, but pray to God you do. Because if you can understand who you are at an essence, if you can understand who you are as a spiritual being, then you get into the true science of who you actually are outside of European understandings. So back to the witch. This family moves on this plantation and they catch hell. The whole family, except the little girl, it's a horror movie and it's a tragedy with a twist at the end. But the whole family ends up transitioning and going crazy, right? The whole family loses their mind and they're being impacted by people that they cannot see. They getting fucked up by people that they can't even fathom, by people they can't even realize, they can't even perceive these people. One, they're in the woods and they've been in this land for so long of a time, they know the ins and outs. So the witch riding on a broom in the night in the full moon, and you see this archetype and this trope over and over again because it's real. Y'all ever seen the TikTok viral thread of people standing the broom on its, like, naturally having it stand straight up and down? Or go on TikTok or go on Instagram and Google witchcraft and things of that nature. See, people are interested in it. Some people see it as a joke, as an interest or a hobby, but those people who first came to New England did not see it as that. You know how I know that they know that these witches in New England was a motherfucking treacherous sight upon the white man's face? I mean, Medusa, you know what they did in New England shortly thereafter, the 15th century? It's called the Salem Witch Trials. Are y'all with me? Do y'all understand? Y'all with me? So New England, Salem Witch Trials was the eradication of the supernatural, divine, feminine. And Google the first woman that was burned at the stake and tell me if she didn't have skin exactly like mine, exactly like yours. See, what we don't know about black women is that they are Saturnian, right? So when you do, and black men, because we are aspects of the black woman, so it's just it's a conglomeration, it's a collection of energy. So when you understand Saturn and time, you're getting into the science. Okay, who's been on the planet longer than black people? Okay, that's time. Okay, now what does this time afford us? This time affords us, very simply, psychic abilities, witchcraft, ritual practice, supernatural understanding, the ability to see beyond the veil, the ability to perceive the spiritual world, the ability to enact supernatural abilities in the physical world to the point that it caused straight up terror and fear in the predominant society of colonial America, where you see Boston. Let's deal with Boston. The Martin Luther King statue, that weird ass shit. All like if you watch The Last of Us, where the show is set in Boston. But why? That place is not called Boston. That place is not called New England. When you talk about Thanksgiving, that whole Thanksgiving ritual started in Boston. I did a video. Look, just go to my page, the second Thanksgiving. That was all in Boston. Boston baked beans looking ass boys. And what I'm saying is that New England was a pivotal understanding and a pivotal eradication of indigenous bloodlines, because when you kill the bloodlines and you eradicate the bloodlines and you rename the city, rename the town, you are getting rid of time. And then you take control of time. You tell a nigga, this is goddamn Massachusetts Avenue. This is no longer an ancient trail for you to learn how to take your son on his rites of passage so he can learn how to fish and take care of his family. You put him on top of a computer grid for which then they think that their actions and things that they're doing are supporting themselves, but all they're doing is supporting the beast, because the beast has created a whole system of removing you from witchcraft. The problem is when you get into your 28, 29, 30, 31 year, you are into your maiden energy, meaning that you are at the peak of your witchcraft energy. See, people don't even realize this because they feel like they're taught by Europeans, first off. So they feel like this is their only and first lifetime, first off. So you feel like this ego in this lifetime is the only lifetime that you ever existed. But if we got into the truth of how old you are and how much time you've been on the planet, then nigga, you was 1,015,000 years old. So how do you channel that ancient energy? I'm going to give y'all the multiple choice. Is it 1, listening to a lying ass bitch on YouTube, or 2, utilizing the practice of cultivating your witchcraft or your spiritual energy? 1 or 2. Do you got to listen to a pretty bitch on YouTube lie to you all day to tap into your psychic abilities, or do you cultivate it through the practice of witchcraft? And if you scared, my nigga, take your ass to church. Some of y'all is scared of your own power. Some of y'all don't even got an altar. Some of y'all don't even burn candles. Some of y'all don't even write your own spells. And then want to be like, well, I don't know what's wrong with me. How old is you? I'm 31. What you doing? I'm going back and forth to work. I don't know what's wrong with me. By this point, you should have set up a spiritual life that have created enough money coming in, enough niggas coming in, enough food coming in. That's the least of your worries. If you worried about money, that means you need to get into some witchcraft. If you worried about a nigga, listen, if you worried about a nigga, guess what that means, ladies? That means you need to cultivate some witchcraft about yourself, because you're 31, 32, 34, 35, 45, 46. Stop it. Cultivate it within yourself. Do the practice. Work with some honey. Work with some roses. Get deep into the spiritual practice of it, or stop complaining to your girlfriends all the time on the phone and in your group chats how these niggas ain't shit. You feel me? Because it's a magical way to go about anything. It's a magical way to get money, love, career, all of the shit that you want. You could do it in a magical way, and it's found within yourself. Think about it in this way. If it's money that you want and you don't have money and you don't know where to get it out in the world, that means it's a closed door that is within you. So that means you need to go within yourself, find that door that is locked, my nigga, and open that bitch and say, the prosperity is within you. So Saturn is really like a 28-year cycle, but it also influxes on the 7. So you got 7 years a Saturn year, 14 is a Saturn year, 21 is a Saturn year, 28, 35, for which, what am I talking about? Football. Why do you think when you score a touchdown and kick an extra point, how many points is that? 7. That's the quintessential number when you are watching football or understanding the science of football. Man, if you scored a touchdown and everybody scored 2-point conversions, niggas wouldn't even watch that shit no more, because we fascinated. When you watch sports and you come away from it and you like, damn, that was a good ass game. What sustains you after the fucking game? The stats. How many yards did that nigga get? We are fascinated by the numbers, okay? So never get that confused. So back to working with Saturn, trying to figure out where's your energy at. You need, if you want a 7 year, if your kid is turning 7, nigga, if your daughter is turning 14, it's pivotal that they do some form of rites of passage. And of course, is you make up your own rules, of course. Well, I'm 13. Now, I mean, fuck all of that. Like, you have to understand, if you got a child and that child is 5 years old, yet that child have a soul, that child is ancient. If you met your husband and if your husband have a soul, your husband is ancient. For which, if you live in life, and you saying, well, I got a good thing on top of this computer grid. I don't mind being locked down slave on this computer grid. Yeah, I know it's a motherboard and I can program my own reality, but you know, the way, you know, when I'm traveling on this computer grid every morning, I don't have that much traffic. I figured out some hacks and things of that nature. You know how niggas be with they hacks? They got them a one bedroom apartment that's rent controlled in New York City, and you can't tell them shit. They're at the epoch of life. If they, you know, I've been living in this apartment for 40 years. It's rent controlled. Congratulations, my guy. You live in New York City in a rent control apartment. What about everybody else in the building? Yeah, the building has went to shit. They got Section 8 vouchers in here, so you know how that go. It's like a miniature projects, but hey, it's rent controlled. Basically, what I'm saying is, people feel that when they're in the grid, when they're in the system, it's niggas who wake up today like, well, at least I got Section 8. It's niggas who wake up and say, well, at least I got a good job. And they be on top of the grid. And it's people who don't have that type shit and say, well, I understand what you saying, hood, but I got to figure out this computer grid. Well, do you know that you the motherboard, you the hardware and the software, and it's actually limiting you to stay on like the actual processor trip? Like, that's limiting your abilities and powers. Like, this system, it thrives off of your ignorance. Because what you never did see is black women walk in front of City Hall covered in their period blood. 10 black women in a natural, like, just not taking a bath for 4 days while they all menstruating at the same time, and then say, well, why are y'all doing this? Why are y'all doing this? Because we want change in this bitch. We want to eradicate this whole system. Here, have everything you want. We are so sorry, Medusa. We are so sorry, Medusa. Why do you think? Walk down this road with me. Let's go to any black city in the country. And let's say, okay, it's cool to just wear wigs. All of y'all should just wear wigs. Fuck it. Versus, no, just let your natural hair be shown. See, y'all think that y'all thinking. As opposed, y'all think that y'all thinking be the crazy part. Y'all think that y'all be processing some shit in reference to what type of wig you want to get. or what type of style you gonna get this week. The whole time you Medusa. We talking about menstruation and natural hair being a source of witchcraft. I mean, that shit is like lifeblood. Like, that shit is like the reckoning. But you would never see it. You only gonna see wigs and weaves and bitches pontificating on how much they think or how they feel or what they know. But we talking about going off the grid, going off the computer system, getting off the computer chip, tapping into our ancient powers. Because we are ancient. Just because you went to a white man's school and you got a white man's education don't mean that the spiritual world ain't real. Just because you blind to it, just because you feel like you just can move into a place. A lot of y'all move into apartments and houses without cleansing the energy or becoming acquainted with the ghosts that live in the house, for which then y'all take on the personality of the fucking spirits of the house. Everything is possession until you realize that it is possession. Because if you don't think possession exists, then I guarantee your ass is possessed by some entity that is walking your ass like a dog. You ain't thinking. For real. Because the motherfucker that's thinking is like, man, I'm burning this goddamn sage and this bitch right now. Why are you burning sage? Because first of all, sage is salvia. It's a chemical compound that it's a hallucinogenic. If you burned enough sage and if you fumigated the energy in your house, it will completely change the vibration of the home. Completely. If you did it right. No, a bitch would be sitting here trying to light a sage with a lighter and shit. Like, man, fuck this sage, or just be burning it and thinking that it's cool or some shit. No, get into the science. Read a medical journal about sage. Don't take my fucking word for it. And then understand, oh, it's a science behind this shit. It's an ancient science behind this shit. So not now, but right now, I'ma keep y'all be black people in a fucking house and your house is not properly saged, but at the same time, what a motherfucker gonna do? Complain, cry, be sad. Well, did you sage the house? No, I ain't sage it. Did you light some frankincense? No, I ain't did none of that. I bought me a cheap ass incense from the dollar store with mad chemicals in it, and I lit that. Yeah, it make me nauseated, but shit, you know I don't know no fucking better. I'm talking about the energetic realms, the demons, the goblins, the ghosts that, you know, trillions of dollars been made on the horror genre, but yet and still we think that's fantasy. You think niggas could just make up shit like that? Or we are closed off to it because we don't tap into it ourselves. And then if we got an interest to it, we want to listen to the next bitch talk about it. We don't want to actually get the fucking shit that we need to do the shit that we need to do to activate ourselves. And we don't take it that seriously. And the deepest part of it, we afraid of it for real. We afraid of ourselves. So what are we talking about when we talk about Saturn and witchcraft and goats and pentagrams and the devil? You talking about niggas being afraid of what? Themselves. Ain't that crazy? 42 million black people at least in this bitch. We could set this bitch on fire for real. Like, nah, nigga. For real, dog. We gotta balance our chakras, nigga. Nah, for real, dog. We gotta really get our pineal glands clean. We really can't be eating meat like this for real. We gotta really get our diets together. We all gotta exercise. We all gotta be in optimum health. We all gotta be on the same accord in reference to being able to be clear enough to perceive the spiritual worlds and develop ourselves. That is power. That is time. Okay, if I'm lying, if I'm on bullshit, then what is the first thing that they tell black people about their history? I don't want to say it in the comments. What did they tell us was the precipice of our existence? There's 25 people in here. Come on now. In history class, what did they say about you? When they said, okay, history, black people, first thing, what is it? They were slaves. Slaves. If I'm lying, either I'm lying or they lying. Would make more sense. How do we as black people exist in this planet, on this continent, as slaves? How? Niggas like LeBron James. Think about LeBron James' ancestors back in the day. Niggas are fucking crazy. Like, the gangster niggas in the city for real. Like, nigga, you think that you gonna enslave these niggas for real? You think, come on now. Think about that shit. And they put us on slave ships and brought us over here. So they are lying. Why are they lying? Because if you was to say the true history of us, it'll blow your fucking mind. It'll blow your fucking mind. Y'all be worried about shit, and this is the energy that you vibrate on. Y'all bitches go to sleep worrying when you are the fucking ancient black goddess out here in this bitch. Like, you need to go to sleep and understand who you are and say the work has already been done. The blood, sweat, and tears of your ancestors have already been laid out for you. All you have to do is tap into the witchcraft energy and start controlling motherfuckers. And it's not negative, it just is what it is. It's like you are dealing with the spiritual realm in reference to programming, in reference to you. Why would I program a reality and so the next man can have the best life, and I'm sitting here, you know, my ass is lightweight dirty, for real. I can't wipe my ass good enough because I can't afford the right soap. So let me do all of this spiritual shit to live a average normal life and be fucked up for real. Why? It's all an illusion. It's all in your mind. And if you understand who you are, you would do some magic. And if you don't do any magic, what is magic? Magic is the way of controlling the physical world. If you don't want to do magic, fucking learn how to build houses like them niggas on YouTube. Get you another nigga, go to the forest and be digging out shit, you know, figure that shit out. Or use your mind, use your heart, activate your chakras, understand your chart, understand your energetic self. Because the energy precedes the physical. So if you understood yourself energetically, I did a reading earlier this week, and I'm literally talking to an oracle, and she like, well, shit. You know me, I just fucking work at this goddamn call center job, so I don't understand really what you're talking about, but what you're saying is making sense. And I'm just trying my best to explain to her the energetic self, the ancient self, don't really give a fuck about this lifetime and if you know, had a couple of baby daddies and things of that nature. A lot of that shit you need to kind of let it go. I uploaded a video last night called The Mother Wound, and you might take offense to that. And that's cool. But in order to heal any type of wound, you have to recognize it. And we love our moms. I love my mom so deeply. And the wounds that, because you love somebody so much and you idolize somebody so much, you don't recognize the wound. And if you don't recognize the wound, especially the psychological wound, you do not heal it. So in healing these wounds, it's easier for you to understand yourself spiritually. And that's a whole nother video, but I just kind of wanted to, you know, speak to that point. But at the end of the day, man, don't be afraid of yourself, you know. Don't be afraid to meditate. Don't be afraid to get into some ritual. Don't be afraid to practice. Don't be afraid to get you a cauldron. Don't be afraid to sage. Don't be afraid to, have a psychedelic experience a time or two. You feel me? Open your mind a little bit. Observe yourself. Do not get so caught up into the ego vessel, because when you tapped into the ego vessel, not ego, but ego, you are probably going to be listening to a whole bunch of liars, just speak a whole bunch of shit in your earlobe that might sound good. They might look good. Shit. Sometimes they might give you a little sex and they might feel good. You feel me? But at the end of the day, the true spiritual enlightenment, it comes from right here. You feel me? So, I just wanted to share that, man. I watched that goddamn movie last night and it was good as fuck. Like that first opening scene, you got to watch it. It's hard to get past that scene. Like that movie is gut wrenching. So if you don't like horror and if you don't like stuff that make you actually think, cedar, I use cedar branch as well. We got we used to have a whole variety. We still, cedar, goddamn eucalyptus. I'm talking about just the practice of sage, just sage in the environment, keeping the environment fumigated, understanding that, you can feed your spirits with that shit. You feel me? And because it's also going to improve your mood. It's hard to be in an environment that just try this shit out, right? Say you in a fucked up mood. Your baby daddy or some bullshit, you feel me? Your baby, let's give you a clear scenario. Your baby daddy said he was going to be home at 8. It's 10:30, right? It's 10:30, and you don't want to be a bitch. You don't want to be a nag. You will send a text saying, "I hope you're okay," right? Boom. That you cleared that out. Now, instead of worrying, instead of having your stomach turn, wondering what he doing type shit, start saging. And if your energy don't shift after that, you know what I'm saying? I'll give you your money back for all the money that you spending watching this video. Deal? All right, man. I'm about to get to this gym. Got some shit to do today. Kind of been lingering and lagging, but I'm gonna get to this work.